guys, this is our match preview for our first match at Wembley as our temporary home, and we're also going to be talking about the summer, talking about how our transfer business is going so far and what we expect over the next month when we're in the window. Right, so let's get right into it. So on Saturday we have an opponent, our first match at Wembley as our temporary home. An opponent who needs no introduction. They're one of the best teams in Europe. Juventus come to 2 Champions League finals in the last 3 years, 6 Serie A titles in a row. It's an extremely tough game on Saturday. This is a team who have one of the best defences in Europe, with Barzagli, Chiellini, Buffon. They just signed Schillaggio from AC Milan, so that's going to be hard to break down. They have Pjanic, Khedira in midfield, and they just signed a fantastic winger called Fernando Bernardeschi from Fiorentina for about 40 million, so he's going to be one to watch. And obviously their strike force, Paulo Dybala and Gonzalo Higuain, some of the best players in Europe. So it's going to be a real challenge to see how we come up against such a fearsome team. I would expect Pochettino to stick with 3-4-3, with Diane, Toby, try and play the team he's going to play against Newcastle, with Dembele. Whether Wanyama doesn't look like he's fit, so probably Dembele and Winks in the centre, with Trippier and Davis as wing backs, and obviously Dele, Ericsson and Kane up top. He could easily switch to a 4-3-3, moving Dyer into midfield, making a 3 of him, Dembele and Winks, but keeping the same players. So it's either 4-3-3 or 3-4-3. We'll see. I think that's a good indication for this game what Poch will play against Newcastle the following week. Yeah, I would be lying if I said I expected Spurs to go and win on Saturday, because Juventus is such a strong team. Although they sold Bonucci, a very surprising sale to AC Milan, they've recruited fairly well. They've still got Bonacio, they've still got Barzagli, and they've got Chiellini and Buffon. So it's going to be a fearsome team to break down if they play their strongest team. One signing that I didn't mention was they signed a certain goalkeeper from the Gooners, Wojciech Szczesny, who's going to be warming the bench for the next year. But fair play to him. He's got his big move to Juventus after a great loan spell at Roma. But I'm sure if he gets on the pitch, he will get a nice reception from the Spurs fans. I'm looking forward to that. I would say Juventus are probably ahead of us at the moment in how they play and the quality of their players. So I would say it's more, the game is more about obviously performance than it is about results. It's always the case with Fendi. It's all about building fitness. So we don't want to read too much into the result, but hopefully we give a good account of ourselves. Maybe we can get a couple of goals. Hopefully they can give us a good performance against Juventus and give us some optimism. Now to our summer so far, a lot of Spurs fans have been disappointed and frustrated by our transfer policy so far. They have, especially on Twitter, they have voiced their discontent how Levy has been going about his transfer, about the transfer dealings. We have yet to sign anyone, and as people rightly point out, we've sold Walker for 50 million, we sold Fazio for about 8 million, we sold Bentaleb for about 16 million, we sold Ng for about 6 million. So it all tallies up to around 75 million, or however much there is. There's basically a lot of money that we've received this summer, and we haven't brought anyone in, which has been a bit of a disappointment in a lot of Spurs fans' eyes. I would say we probably need a few fresh faces, as Poch admitted. I think the task at hand that we have this summer to improve our squad, not improve our squad, but to improve our first 11, is extremely hard, and I think it was perfectly encapsulated by what Pochettino said about quotes about Alvaro Morata. He said that he contacted Alvaro Morata about potentially joining Spurs a couple of years ago, and Morata's response was, "Why would I sign for Spurs when you have Harry Kane? I'm just going to be warming the bench." Now, if you apply that to a goalkeeper, why would a goalkeeper join Spurs when we have Lloris? Why would a centre-back join Spurs when we have Vertonghen and Alderweireld? Why would a left-back join Spurs when we have Danny Rose? Why would a centre-mid join Spurs when we have Dembele and we have Wanyama? Why would an attacking player join Spurs when we have Ali, Eriksen, and Kane? It's not. It's so hard to find a player that would come into the team that we could afford. Is the balancing act is near impossible for us to actually find a player who's good enough to break our first team, but is cheap enough so we can actually bid for him and afford him. That's why for that I have sympathy with Pochettino and Levy in that sense. What I would say is maybe having sold Walker 50 million, we should probably look to sign a right back just to give some competition for Trippier, because I think Trippier is a fine right back. He's got a fine delivery. He's good on the ball. His positioning is good, but whether there's just always going to be that question mark around Trippier, whether he's got that dominance on the right hand side to really dominate, like Walker did. It was such a big part of our play how we dominated that right hand side, never let anyone go past him, and just completely overpowered them going forward. Trippier has different skill sets, so he's better at crossing the ball on the run and so on. So it's about can we adapt our play to fit Trippier, or do we have to look to sign someone like a Pereira or a Sergio Aurier, where there's been links to bring in the summer to give competition to Trippier, or can Kyle Walker-Peters be that player? He's looked impressive in pre-season. So then the question is, do we look at players to improve our bench? Fine, but then you'll look at which we need. We probably need more depth, but you're looking to find a player who is good enough to improve our bench, but is happy to sit on the bench. So you have to find fullbacks. We have Ben Davies, the left back, who's pretty good. We've got Wimmer and Carter Vickers backup centre backs, and we have Eric Dyer who can fill in there, as well as centre mid. We have Harry Winks, Josh Onuma coming through. We have George Kevins and Kudu, who I think is going to be given another season on the wings. We have Eric Lamela in the fold. We have it looks like Mousa Sissoko is going, so maybe we can get a bit of money for him, or even on loan. But there are players there who we have on the bench who are not no ones, who are not rubbish. I think people like Lamela are quality players. People like Winks and Onuma I think Onuma's looked sensational in pre-season, especially in the Under-20 World Cup. He looked really good. So maybe he's another player who can really come on. What I would say is, in a perfect transfer window, I'd probably sign a right back to give Trippier some competition. I would probably sign a winger, because we have Lamela and Nkudu, but in terms of real width, we don't really have that option on the wing with a pacey, someone with real pace that can really can trouble fullbacks, like proper dribbling ability. I think Nkudu could possibly be that player, but at the moment he hasn't quite shown it. Though I think Nkudu, in the small cameos he's given, is actually been quite impressive. So whether Poch gives him more of a chance remains to be seen, but I'd probably still bring another one in. And I would probably bring a central midfielder in. Can we trust Dembele for a whole season? As he said himself, he's probably never going to be 100% fit again in his career. So that's going to be a big question mark over the season. I'd love to see someone like Rabiot come in. I know it's unlikely, but he'd be my perfect player. Would I want to sign Ross Barkley? That's been a question mark for a lot of during the whole summer. Should Ross Barkley join Spurs? We have a lot of games. We have Champions League, we have FA Cup we're going to have to go for, and we have the league. So we're going to have a lot of games. Would Ross Barkley fit in? I reckon he could be a good squad option to fill in for Dele Alli and Eriksen if they're injured, or if they're just tired. And he can also fill it in centre mid. So I think if Levy drags it out till late, I wouldn't be gutted if we didn't get him, but I think if we could get him for about 25-30 million, with 1 year left on this contract in the current market, it's probably a good deal. So I would take Ross Barkley at Spurs. I wouldn't be calling for Levy out if we fail to get Ross Barkley, because I still believe in our youth. I still believe in players coming through. So that's how I see the summer so far. I'm expecting, as Poch said, a few more transfer over the next month while the window's still open. Because even people forget the window's open for another month. The window hasn't closed yet. And people use the argument that you need to get your players in early, otherwise they're not used to the methods, and then it takes time. That's why we always have slow starts, which is a fair point. But I would argue that our team is good enough to start the season as it is. I think we're good. I don't think it's an excuse that we haven't made any signings for the team to start slowly, because if you look at how we ended last season with 13 wins of the last 14 games, we have a seriously good team. Now the question mark is always, can this team last the season? Because do we have the required depth? That's another issue. But to say we can't start the season with the team we currently have and it could be good enough to compete, I don't agree with that at all. So to say that signing a player late in the window is an excuse for us to be starting the season slowly, I don't buy that at all. In terms of a player getting used to the training methods, maybe you have a point. Maybe that's true. However, there are players like Paulinho, Soldado. They were both those players were signed in very good time, very early in the summer. That didn't seem to help them. And there was also players like Van der Vaart, and there's players like Heung-min Son who was signed late, and they've proven to be successes. So it doesn't always work. I know there's always also Wanyama who was signed early who was a success, and Sissoko was signed late who was a failure. So it kind of works both ways. My point being that neither way is guaranteed. So I wouldn't logically signing a player early and giving them a pre-season would help, but I think how the way the club's going, how we're run, we need to have kind of avoid the riff-raff of other clubs. We kind of need to let them get their signings sorted so we can come in and kind of do our deals a bit more like under the radar. It's not perfect. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a perfect situation. I'd rather we get our signings in early, if truth be told. But Levy's brought our club from when he took over in 2001. He's brought our club so far. We've got a new stadium now. We're on the cusp of regular Champions League football, regular title challenges, and all from a team where we didn't spend a lot of money to build. A lot of players like Harry Kane from our academy. So, and this is all. I'm certain it's all because of this world-class training facility that he's helped build. So I think you just got to take the good with the bad. Levy is not the perfect chairman. I think he's a fantastic chairman, but no chairman's perfect. So if we make our signings late, that's how we do it. But if we see constant progression, then I'm not going to be up in arms and demanding Levy out or anything like that, because I can see the progression we've made and where we've come from, the dark days of the 90s, and they're well behind us now. So, that's how I see it. We're going to be at the game on Saturday against Juventus. I'm going to be going with my grandpa. My brother's away. My brother Ben is away in Hungary. So me and my grandpa at the game. We'll be doing a vlog. So watch out for that. We're going to be doing a lot more regular content now. Now the season started. I know we've been a bit slow over the summer. We've done a few videos. I saw a lot of people enjoyed the goal recreations we did with Georgia Killier, Expressions, Spurs XY, Duomax, and there's even more. I did one and my brother did one, which we're going to be uploading soon. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, comment below. Let us know what you think. Let us know who Spurs should sign. Let us know what you think the lineup will be against Juventus. And as always, come on, you Spurs!